I'm Yaniv Price, a software engineering leader, coach, consultant, and the author of Fixing Management. Welcome to Fixing Management, the podcast that gives actionable guidance on becoming a more effective leader. In the previous episode, we went over 20 OKRs mistakes. Today, we're going to continue listing mistakes that make them ineffective or less effective. 21. Ignoring ambition. If you hit 100% of your OKRs every time, you're not stretching enough. If you've reached 70%, that's a big accomplishment comparing to where you started. 22. Using OKRs as a communication substitute. Posting OKRs in Confluence doesn't replace conversations. They should be a reason to talk, not a replacement for talking. 23. Writing OKRs once and never considering refining them. Markets may shift, priorities evolve, customers change. Revisit your OKRs mid-cycle, adjust targets, drop irrelevant ones, and celebrate small wins. 24. Not aligning across levels. Company, department, and team OKRs should connect like gears in a machine. If each team moves in a different direction, you'll waste effort instead of compounding it. And these do happen. I once witnessed a company that had two big modules and ran two opposing initiatives simultaneously, one to unify them and one to extract a third one. 25. Limiting wording. Groundstruck OKRs, using words like improve, increase, keep, reduce, maintain, with past reference from X to Y. These limit the imagination, set a mindset of doing a bit more of what we did until now. They anchor or put emphasis on the current situation, assuming the current situation is God-given. Simply state where you want to be. 26. Insignificance. Improve sales from previous quarter, from 100 to 101. Does this really move the needle? 27. Not having OKRs because you cannot measure. A measurement is only an observation to reduce uncertainty. Find the proxy and measure it. For example, for the kindness of the security staff, sample count the number of smiles to visitors. 28. Confusing with KPIs. KPIs measure the performance of processes and activities already in place. OKRs are a change for the future. OKRs may be used to improve existing KPIs. For example, maintaining ENPS of 4 is not an OKR because it's keeping the current KPI. ENPS of 5, when the current one is 4, is an OKR. 29. And. The word and means two different things, so they should be separate OKRs. Otherwise, if only one was achieved, we still failed the whole OKRs. It also makes it hard to prioritize and make decisions, like in satisfy customer X and customer Y, or even conflicting great company for investors and employees. Which one do you prioritize? 30. Initiatives that drive OKRs. This happens when the team gets tempted to think of what they want to do instead of the strategy, desired outcome, and how to move the needle. 31. Lack of data. Improve number of support tickets from X to Y, TBD, to be decided. Or reduce cost by X%, where the X is not defined. We didn't care enough to measure the baseline and or know the outcome we are after. So why is this important to dedicate the whole quarter for? If the only argument is doing it just makes sense, compare it to other things that make sense. 32. Percentages. Percentages are not inherently bad, just more confusing than absolute numbers. If we have conversion rate of 5% and we want to reach 10%, is it 5% increase or 100%? Of course, sometimes we don't have absolute numbers, like the number of errors in our API response or the system's uptime. 33. Negative formulation. Humans tend to pursue achievements rather than preventions. Consider up to 2% API error response versus minimum 98 API success response, which sounds okayish, but churn of up to 2 customers versus retained 42 customers. 34. Extreme dependency. Very high risk on a single source of impact. Think of investor X gave LOI. What if they cannot or will not due to internal reasons? 35. No balancing KRs. With the excitement to hit a goal, we might unnoticeably damage another part of the business. For example, in the past, we increased in-store revenue and inadvertently reduced online sales, So overall, it was a loss for the company. It's best practice to include a countermeasure or health metric for your key results. 36. Outcome likely to happen regardless. Unblock launch of customer X. While we have no evidence we need to do anything. Smooth holiday season is acceptable when we know we need to deliberately act. 37. Weak words. Can, enable, allow are not really about impact. For example, 3 teams can use our dashboard, and if they can but do not, does it bring any value? Is it a success? 38. Acronyms, jargon, implicitness. QBR of 800 for CLV of 5K via CR of 10%. Remember, OKRs are for the whole organization, and some stakeholders will need to understand and translate them each time. 39. Only OKR work. OKRs are about strategy. Business as usual will still be there. Products end of life, legal deadlines, engineering board, tech debt, support, helping other teams. You don't need to capture every piece of work in OKRs, only the big rocks. 40. Oscillating values. OKRs using numbers that change on every measurement, like the weekly number of support cases, 12, then 40, then 6, then 20. Not the end of the world, but makes it harder to track and can demotivate. They are also too easy to find excuses for missing. Use average or cumulative. Weekly average of 10 tickets, or 120 tickets cumulative. So there you have it, 40 OKR ways to ineffectiveness. And if you notice a pattern, it's this. OKRs fail not because of the framework, but because people interpret it too freely. OKRs are simple but not easy. They require focus, honesty, and alignment. When used well, they build a lot of clarity and momentum. When misused, they create noise and frustration. That's it for today. Thanks for listening and keep fixing management. If you found this helpful, share it with another manager.